Somewhere in California, a killer is watching. He has already taken lives. He has already sent letters to the police, mocking them. And he has already warned the world that he will never be caught. This is not a story from a movie. This happened in real streets with real victims. And the terrifying truth, to this day, no one knows who he is. It was December 20th, 1968, a cold night in Benicia, California. Two teenagers, David Faraday, 17 years old, and Betty Lou Jensen, 16 years old, parked their car on a quiet road. A first date, full of hope and excitement. They never made it home. A stranger approached the car. No warning, no words, just bullets. David was shot in the head. Betty Lou tried to run. She was shot 5 times in the back, 5 steps from the car. 5 steps was all she managed. The police found them within the hour. No witnesses, no motive, no suspect. Just 2 young bodies on a cold road and silence. Betty Lou's mother waited at home that night. She called the neighbors. She called the school. She never imagined she was calling everyone except the one place that had the answer, the morgue. David's father identified his son's body the next morning. He never spoke publicly about that day. Some pain has no words. 6 months later, July 4th, 1969, Independence Day, Darlene Farron, 22, and Mike Majot, 19, were sitting in a parking lot in Vallejo. A car pulled up beside them, a blinding flashlight, then gunshots. Darlene died. Mike survived, barely. But this time, the killer made a phone call. In a calm, cold voice, he called the Vallejo Police Department and said, "I want to report a murder. You will find the victims at the Blue Rock Springs Park." Then he added something that made the detective's blood run cold. "I also killed those kids last December." He hung up. The police were no longer dealing with a random killer. They were dealing with someone who wanted to be known. Darlene left behind a 2-year-old daughter. Her husband, Dean Farron, was questioned multiple times. He had no answers. Nobody did. Mike Majot survived, but the bullet damaged his jaw. He spent years struggling to speak clearly. Decades later, he would be the one to look at a photo lineup and point at a suspect. His hands were shaking when he did it. 3 weeks later, 3 letters arrived to 3 different newspapers at the same time. Each letter contained details only the real killer could know, and each letter contained something else, a coded message, a cipher. The killer demanded the newspapers publish his codes on the front page, or he would go on a killing spree. He signed each letter with a crosshair symbol, a circle with a cross. He called himself the Zodiac. The codes were 408 symbols, strange characters, mathematical signs, mixed letters. The FBI couldn't crack it. Professional cryptographers couldn't crack it. It was a schoolteacher and his wife, Donald and Betty Harden, who finally broke it after days of work. They noticed one pattern first. The letter combination EGO appeared repeatedly. They guessed the killer started his message with the words, "I like killing." They built outward from there, symbol by symbol, day by day, at their kitchen table. The message read, "I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest because man is the most dangerous animal of all." He believed he was collecting slaves for his afterlife. Every person he killed would serve him after death. This wasn't just a killer. This was someone who believed he was building an army from the dead. But here is the part that still haunts investigators today. The cipher had 18 symbols left at the end that made no sense. They didn't fit the code. They didn't spell anything recognizable. Some believe it was his name, hidden in plain sight. Others believe it was a deliberate trap designed to waste investigators' time forever. It worked. There was a second cipher, then a third. The third one, known as the Z13, was only 13 characters long. For 51 years, nobody could crack it. Then in 2020, a team of mathematicians and code breakers from the United States, Australia, and Belgium finally solved it. The message read, "I hope you are having lots of fun trying to catch me." He was still laughing. 51 years later, from wherever he was, September 27th, 1969, Lake Berryessa. Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were having a picnic by the lake. A sunny afternoon, peaceful. Then a figure appeared, wearing a black hood, with the zodiac symbol stitched on the chest. He tied them up, spoke to them calmly, then stabbed them repeatedly. Brian survived with serious wounds. Cecilia died 2 days later. Before leaving, The Zodiac walked to Brian's car and wrote on the door with a marker the dates of his previous attacks and today's date, as if he was keeping score. October 11th, 1969, San Francisco. Taxi driver Paul Stein picked up a passenger in downtown San Francisco. A quiet fare, nothing unusual, until the passenger shot him in the head, point blank. Witnesses saw a white man leaving the taxi and wiping it down with a cloth, calmly. No rush. The police received a description. They actually stopped a man matching it that night, just 2 blocks away, but they let him go. A miscommunication in the radio dispatch. Days later, a letter arrived at the San Francisco Chronicle. Inside, a piece of Paul Stein's bloody shirt. Proof. The Zodiac was sending proof. Over the next years, more letters, more taunting. He wrote to newspapers. He wrote directly to attorneys. He even wrote to famous lawyer Melvin Belly on a Christmas card, begging for help, saying he had headaches and couldn't control himself. In one letter, he claimed 37 victims. Police could only confirm 5 deaths and 2 survivors. Was he lying, exaggerating, or were their victims never found? Nobody knows. Over the decades, hundreds of suspects were investigated. One name always rises to the top: Arthur Lee Allen. Allen was not an easy man to ignore. He was a schoolteacher and convicted sex offender who had been fired from his job working with children. He lived alone. He had no alibi for the nights of several murders. Detectives first interviewed him in 1971. He was calm, almost too calm. He wore a Zodiac brand watch, the same watch the killer referenced in one of his letters. He owned the same type of ammunition used in the murders. He told coworkers before the killing started that he wanted to hunt humans. He said he would call himself the Zodiac. When police searched his trailer, they found knives, a bloodstained knife. He explained it away. He said he had been cutting up chickens. His handwriting didn't match. His DNA didn't match tests run in 2002. He died of a heart attack in 1992, just days after police were preparing new search warrants. Some investigators believe he was the Zodiac. Some believe he was a disturbed man who inserted himself into the mythology of the case. The truth died with him. In 2021, a team called the Case Breakers claimed to identify the Zodiac as Gary Francis Post, a house painter with a scar on his forehead that matched a composite sketch. But the FBI and San Francisco police rejected their findings. No arrest was ever made. The identity of the Zodiac remains officially unknown. The last confirmed Zodiac letter was in 1974. After that, silence. Did he die? Did he stop? Is he still out there? Over 2,500 suspects have been investigated. The case file runs to hundreds of thousands of pages. And still, no arrest, no conviction, no closure for the families. The Zodiac killed at least 5 people, possibly dozens more. He sent at least 20 letters. He mocked police, lawyers, and the entire justice system. And he was never caught. Somewhere there is a grave, or a nursing home, or a quiet house on a quiet street. And inside is the answer to one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in American history. But we may never know it. If you want to know the full story of the Zodiac's coded messages and the one cipher that was only cracked 51 years later, that story is coming next. Subscribe, because the Zodiac isn't done yet.